And even like the fear of the rapture is a good thing. So, for example, there was this story online on xchristian.net. There were a whole bunch of stories about people talking about their childhood traumas, and some of them were about being scared of the rapture. And a child that was completely terrified about one night when he couldn't find his family, and then when their parents finally found him, and he was really scared, he did not get the comfort and safety that a child would really need and deserve at that point. Instead, the parents said that it was good, that this is what was going to happen.
Right. This child had, at the age of 9, had run around his house in hysterics crying, and had gone outside and seen police lights in the distance, and had become so frightened that he passed out on the front lawn. Mm-hmm. And when his parents came home, there had been an accident, they went to investigate it. When they came home and he woke up, he was so relieved to see them, and he told them why he was so afraid. Mm-hmm. And instead of providing comfort, the parents said something like, well, son, that's why you always need to be ready, because that's exactly how it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So in this case, this child had the terror of being abandoned, but then the double abandonment of seeing your parents and needing comfort in the most terrifying moment of your life, and realizing that your parents are not going to comfort you. That's an emotional abandonment there. Mm-hmm. So, this particular person said that incident has affected his entire life, and it's messed up all of his relationships, his job, for his whole life because of this abandonment issue.
And so what you're saying about the emotional abandonment is really important, because when you feel emotionally abandoned, you don't feel safe. You're not getting the care and protection that you really need and deserve as a child. And so you grow up feeling like you're totally unsafe all of the time. And this affects you all of the time. And you have this feeling of helplessness. There's nothing you can do about it. And that's another thing that is part of this whole drama of the rapture is this idea of how it's going to happen suddenly without any warning. Like all these Christians are going to disappear. Pilots are going to be gone and not be flying the airplanes. Drivers are going to not be driving the buses, and all these things are going to happen. It's going to be a complete disaster. It's going to happen suddenly. And so you're just going to be on edge all of the time, not knowing, and you have no control. And another thing we know in psychology is that to have some sort of control in your life is important. Not ultra control, like you have to be a control freak or anything like that, but what's called self-efficacy is really important. You have to have some sort of locus of control where you are able to make some of your own decisions. You're able to have some cause and effect with your life. You have some agency. You're not just a puppet. You're not doing what everybody else is making you do, and you're able to take care of yourself. And with this kind of theology, you really have no control at all. And you're taught over and over and over again that it's actually dangerous to think for yourself. It's prideful to think that you have any power or control, or to be in charge of your own life.
That's right. Being in charge of your own life is the worst possible thing that you can do.
Right.
And the message is that you can't possibly handle your own life apart from divine intervention. And that idea alone puts a lot of fear into people's lives about anything in their life, because they can't trust themselves, and they're trusting in an invisible person that is not clearly presented in Scripture. Everybody has their own idea, so it's a very unstable system.
Yeah. So anyway, this in terms of this whole rapture thing and the end of the world thing, the Armageddon scare stuff, I think what we're saying here is that this is really abusive, horrible stuff. It's not just a funny little thing that these few people are doing that is quirky and it's, the joke's over and tomorrow, the sun's going to come up and isn't that funny? It's really more than that. It's not just this one little group. It's millions of people that are teaching this, and millions of people that are worried about it. They don't necessarily talk about it, but I think statistically it's what did you say? You came across a number for how many people believe that the rapture's going to happen. A huge number of people believe that Jesus is coming back in their lifetime, including people running for office. Do we really want them at the helm of our country if they think Jesus is coming back anytime and they're going to disappear on us and not be in charge anymore? So it's actually a very, very big deal. And then this idea of not being able to trust your own judgment, and you certainly don't trust other people, and certainly not the non-Christians who are sinful and being directed by Satan. So it's totally, totally disempowering. And then of course the other flip side of it is expecting Jesus to come back and fix everything, some kind of rescuer.
Right, then you don't have to be responsible for the world that you are living in. Mm-hmm. Jesus is going to fix it all. You don't need to try and make things better on your own. You can just disconnect and not be involved.
Right, you don't have to be working for justice, for global peace and justice or anything like that, because you get told that there will be no peace until the Prince of Peace brings it, right? And also that some of the signs of the end are wars and rumors of wars, right? And immorality and this and that and all these terrible things. So if these are signs of the end, and then Jesus is going to come back, and then there's going to be judgment, and God's going to fix everything, then it's not really a big concern that these bad things are happening or that we should do anything about it.
Right. A lot of times Christians just think, oh, it's all going to burn anyway.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, I won't be here for it. Or Jesus will come back.
And certainly we don't need to worry about climate change or global warming. I mean, that's the last of our worries, right? If the world is going to burn up and God's in charge of when that's going to happen anyway. So who are we to say that we are causing any of this or we should do anything about it? Because it's God's timeline, and we're just these poor little humans that should just be obeying. I mean, the biggest thing that we should be doing is obeying God, and that's what we get to do from day one, is to be obedient, whatever that means.
Right. Whatever that means.
So, yeah. I guess I do want to also just say a little bit that what we are also talking about, more than just this particular event, is a religious trauma syndrome, or what I'm calling RTS, and which people seem to be picking up on because lots of people are relating to it and understanding it. It's kind of like PTSD, recognizing that yes, there is some trauma, and yes, there are symptoms and consequences for what you've been through, and I'll just kind of direct this to people that might be watching, that, if you are experiencing symptoms and aftermath of having been raised in a repressive, dogmatic, authoritarian kind of religious environment, whether it's fundamentalist Christian or Muslim or Mormon or whatever it is, but where you weren't allowed to really become who you are and think for yourself and learn how to respect your own feelings, your own instincts, and honor yourself as a human being and develop the skills to live in this world, then you are traumatized and you are handicapped by that, both by that lack of development and by that fear that has been indoctrinated into you and that can come up for you even if you intellectually don't agree with it anymore. And you can be confused about how to run your life because you've been taught to look for God's will all the time, and on a whole host of other things. So we would encourage you to recognize that and to know that understanding some of that can help you a lot. and that there are some steps that you can take. It's not, you're not alone. This is something that is becoming more well known, and I hope that more and more people will discover some of the steps in recovery, and more therapists will understand it. At this time, we're trying to develop some services. Tracy is also helping me work on a website called Journeyfree. If you go to journeyfree.org, you can see what's going on there. We have a support group that's international, that's online. We have monthly phone calls, people everywhere that understand what's going on and can be very supportive to each other. Families, by the way, get totally disrupted and have a hard time. Relationships that are really having a hard time because of one person leaving the faith and the other not, or parents reacting to kids that don't believe, that kind of thing. So it's a very big deal. And then we also have weekend retreats that are intensive times where people can come together, know they're not alone, and do some of the healing work together that is best done in person, and also can be deeper than just talking about it and deeper than just intellectual work. So we invite you to just find out more about some of that by going to their website. Do you want to share anything about that? You went to a retreat. And
I'd like to encourage everyone coming out of Christianity to try and get to a retreat.
So anyway, I don't think it's the end of the world today, and if you have left your faith and you're struggling, just realize that you're not alone. It's not the end of the world. It's going to be okay, and you're a good human being. You always have been. You've been told a lot of lies, and you can find out more about who you really are and rebuild, reclaim your life, and come to some joy and creativity in your life here and now in this world, because this is where we are right now, and this is where we deserve to be, and it's our birthright to enjoy our lives now and to love each other. We don't have to redirect all our love to some imaginary person, but we can care about each other right.
And if you're a person who did believe with your whole heart that the world was going to end on Saturday, and you're watching this video in utter despair that it did not happen, we want to encourage you that we're not laughing at you, and we understand how deeply you can believe something, because we were you at one time. And we encourage you to contact us. You will not get any ridicule from us. You will get friendship and comfort and psychological care. That was one question I had, is the psychological community doing anything to help the people that will be traumatized on Sunday when the world doesn't?
Yeah. Well, we're here, and we have also believed these things ourselves, and it's not shameful. If you've been taught a lot of these things, it wasn't your choice necessarily. You weren't born with these ideas, and you were not given a lot of options for what to believe. So, and the other thing is that people who have sincerely believed and tried to be really good believers and Christians, and tried not to be sinful and, followed God's will and just wanted to dedicate yourself and rededicate yourself and be the best Christian possible, we're the ones that have been the most hurt and the most let down and have had the most recovery, because we're just sensitive, emotional people that care a lot about what we commit ourselves to. So don't feel like there's anything wrong with you. That's a good thing. It's a good thing, and now you just need to commit that same kind of caring to your life and to other people and to this world now, and just redirect it and reclaim it for yourself.
And you'll be a lot happier.
Very much happy.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.